Hello, and welcome once again to my kitchen here at Trails End 62. Going to be doing something just a little bit different today. Definitely this is something that you need to make sure you want to do if you're going to do it. This is kind of what they call rebel canning. Now that simply means this is something that people are canning and have canned for years and years and sometimes generations and generations. So it's not approved by any government regulating agency by any number, name, or whatever. And it's not been approved by anything, any of the university extension centers or anything like that that does this kind of research. Mainly because a lot of this stuff they don't bother researching. It's been done, people do it safely, but the bottom line is this is something that you do at your own risk. So just want to make sure you understand that. I'm not advocating that you do this. Matter of fact, the first time I've done this, I'm doing kind of an experiment to see how it works. Now, what I'm going to be canning today is, I'll see if you can see it here. This is Queso. Okay? Nacho Cheese Sauce. Now, this happens to be in a bag. Most people that I've seen can this, matter of fact, all the people I've seen can this, can it out of number 10 cans. You can buy the big can of nacho cheese sauce, and they can that into smaller portions. Now, I happen to have this in a bag. It's probably a food service product because I got it at my local salvage store. They happen to be giving away a bag of this when you buy so much groceries there. And so this is free. So I got it. I normally wouldn't get a big bag like this. But I'm going to try it and see how it will can. And there are those who say that it cans pretty good. Now I did my research and I only found one person who actually canned it like I'm going to can it because most of them water bath it. I don't do any water bathing anymore. I used to when I made jelly. I even used to water bath my tomatoes, but I pressure can all of that tomatoes and my salsa. I do all that pressure can now. With this Nesco, it has a high and low pressure canning setting. It also has a water bath setting on it. But I'm going to be using the low pressure setting on this and pressure can it on the low pressure setting. So we'll see how it turns out. As far as whether it's water bath or done in this, I don't think there'll be any difference, except I trust the pressure canning system better than water bathing. But other people, they water bath everything, including meat. I don't. Okay? That's another thing that's not any kind of government approved. But I don't, because I got the pressure canner and I'd a lot rather pressure can it than water bath it. Now, I'll be packing this into jars, small jars. One thing about this they say is you don't do anything like this in anything larger than a pint, and generally in half pints. So I've got two different kind of half pints here. I've got the half pint jar, looks like this. It's a regular mouth opening, but it looks like this. And then I've got these little things here I call squatties. So I'm going to be doing them in these because I think it'll fill enough of these up. I can put more of these in the canner than I can these. I can only do 7 of these. I can do 8 of these. And if I have more than 8, I can do a double layer, one layer of this, and about 5 of these on top. I have to keep it clear of the vent openings. So that's what we're going to be doing. And the first thing we're going to be doing is sanitizing our jars. I don't sanitize them because I am going to be using the pressure canner. Get back over here. Be using the pressure canner. Even though I'm doing it on the low pressure, I think it'll be fine. But I'm going to wash them in hot water and soak them in hot water and do it that way. But if you water bath, you need to sanitize your jars. But with the pressure canner, I don't. So I'm not going to worry about it. Although they will be cleaned and in hot water. So, but anyway, I'm going to get everything prepared, get it started here, and we'll show you some of this off the cuff, out of bounds canning of Queso cheese dipping sauce. We'll be right back. Okay, I've got my Queso put into a double boiler here. You don't want to burn it. You don't want to boil it itself. You just want to heat it up so that instead of being clumpy and hard like that it's going to be a little bit more smooth throughout, so you can put it in the jars easily. So I'm heating this up in a double boiler. Now ideally, since this was in a bag, I could have just put the bag down into the water and did it that way. However, I was a bit careless when I was moving the bag around in the bottom of the freezer, and I snagged it and tore the bag. So I wasn't able to do that. I had to put it out. I've seen people do cans. They've taken it out of the can, put it in a double boiler like this. I've also seen them just put the can down in the hot water and do it the double boiler that way. So I'm getting this heat up. I want to get the heat thoroughly through all the cheese so there's no clumping, so it all flows smoothly. And so I'm heating up my water. It may not even have to come to a boil, but just so it all gets mixed up and smooth so I can ladle it into the jars easily. My salsa is hot. I'm going to leave 1-inch head space. And I'm just going to ladle these in. Alright, once I have them all filled, it turns out I've got 8 of these half-pint sized jars here, and then I've got 2 squatties, so I'll have to have 2 layers in there. Now technically the book says that you can put 16 of these half-pints in there. I tried putting them in there, and I'm just not sure that they're going to be able to do the lid properly, although it says you can. I think probably I'll set it up a little different than when I do it. I won't be able to do 2 layers of these, but I think I can do a layer of these and a layer of the squatties. Not a full layer of the squatties, maybe 5 instead of 8. Try to keep it away from the vent openings. Alright, I'm going to finish wiping these. You got to wipe them good. You don't want anything on the rim. It's kind of messy, so you have to be really careful when you go to wiping these that you get them all wiped. Good. You don't want anything on that rim, because that will stop your sealing process. Now you can see here on the rim, and that dried. So I have to carefully wipe that off, get it off the rim. Got that waxy, oily finish on it, and that will prevent the seal. Put our lids on. Lids and rings. I'm going to do these finger tight. Put them in our processor. Okay, so I have 8 half pints in there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my rack on top. And then I'm going to set 2. Forgot to put the band on the other one. Don't go away, I'll be right back. 2 of the squatties on top. Now they won't be boiling in the water or anything, so I don't need to worry about them moving around. And then we're ready to go. Close and lock the lid. I have my 15-pound weight for the altitude that I am. It's on exhaust. And I'm going to run this just like the high pressure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to punch low. I'm going to do it for 30 minutes. Oops. That's what the recipe calls for this. And start. And then I'll run it just like the high pressure. We'll be back when it's done. Okay, there's my 10.5 pints of Queso Nacho Cheese Sauce that we canned up. It looks pretty good. They all sealed. Now we'll see if it works. These are a little different than the canned ones because these were frozen to begin with. So I don't know how the texture is going to be on them. Just ignore the potatoes in the background. That's a different thing. And so I'm going to try one of these pretty quick and see how it works out. But storage on these, they say to store in a cool place, dark place, cool place when they're canned. There's one lady that stores hers in the refrigerator, which I can see individualizing the portions and then storing in the refrigerator if you have the room. Well, I know you can't tell it, but it's been 4 months. I've got my last jar of Queso cheese sauce that I canned up 4 months ago exactly to the day. And this is my last one. I opened up one earlier this week. I used most of it, still a little bit left, and it was good. No problems with it whatsoever. It wasn't rancid. Everything was fine, tasted good, and I'm still here. So, while, like I said, this is not something that's recommended. I'm not recommending it. I'm just telling you this is what I do. I think I'm going to work with this. It's going to be good. Matter of fact, I bought me a couple of the big cans of cheese sauce from the store, and I got a good price on them, so I got 2 cans, and I'll have those set in my pantry, and then when I get down to my last jar of this next batch, then I'll can up another batch and just do it that way. So being cheese, a milk product, I don't want to leave it very long. I don't know how long they'll last. Some people say longer than others. I just don't need to. So I'm going to can up a can at a time and have it that way. That way it's ready to go and it'll be processed. And when I get down to my last jar, that's when I'll do it. So I'm going to do another batch in my electric canner here just like I did last time. I got a bag soaking in the hot water here, kind of loosening it, thinning it up a little bit so it flows easier. When I put it in the jar, there'll be less chance of big air bubbles getting stuck down in there. The colder it is when you put it in, the harder it is when it goes in, the more chance you have of getting an air bubble stuck in there, even when you debubble. So if it's warm, it flows smoother, it'll flow together better, and you have less chance of getting any air bubbles in there. So I'm going to get these done, do another batch, and it's been good. And one more thing. I finally have begun to see in the local stores canning jars, supplies, lids, and that sort of thing, which is good. I got me some more small jars, some more half pints. Picked them up, and I've seen some pints, and I was at the store yesterday, and there was they had a lot of jars. They didn't have a lot of lids, except they had pure lids and another brand of off-brand lids that they had there. The ball lid box was empty. But I went to Walmart's. What can I say? The cheapest around when I can find it. And they did have ball lids. And I looked at them and I got some. I was going to get some. But they also had these Golden Harvest. And I know I've heard different people say different things about these, but they were like almost $1 cheaper a box per dozen. And when looking at it, if you look at the box, you'll find out that the Golden Harvest are made by the exact same company that makes ball lids, in the exact same address that the ball lids by the same company. They just don't have the advertising dollars spent that Ball does, and therefore they can be cheaper apparently. But they're made by the exact same company in the exact same place in the United States of America. So for $1 a box cheaper, I went this route. Just for your information there. The other thing I noticed about these is on the ball lids and also on these lids here, you know, their copyright on here that they made these was 2020. Yeah, this is 2022 season coming up. And I'm thinking, where have they been keeping these things for the last year or so? Who knows? Anyway, that's my take on these lids. And there's my 12 jars, 11 jars of salsa. Now, I did these in my Nesco electric canner, but unlike the first batch, I went ahead and did these on regular canning, the high, because if you don't have a electric canner, then you can't use the low setting like I did on the first batch. So this batch I went ahead and did on the high, and when I heat it up, I simply pop the lid off on a full can that hasn't been in the refrigerator. I do it for 13 seconds, and then I'll stir it real good, and then I'll do it for another 13 seconds. And of course, now this is queso, it's got some spices in it, and it tastes good. So, oh yeah, that's good. Okay, so on the regular canning process, for my altitude, it's 15 pounds. And I did it for 20 minutes. I did it 30 minutes on the low side of it. But for regular canning process, then it would be, for the half pints, 20 minutes. And it worked out pretty good. And there we go. You can see there's a little bit of separation in here. The oil's in it. But once you start heating that up a little bit, you don't want to cook it. Just warm it up so it'll stir good. You can also put that down in a pan of hot water. Heat the water up and stir it as you go to heat it up, or even transfer it over into a pan and heat it up. But it's good, and it's going to work out pretty good. So that's queso canning. That's it for queso. I'm going to enjoy it. You decide for yourself whether it's something that you want to do. Till next time, from my house to your house, from my kitchen to your kitchen, God bless.